if you can just, for the cameras, please.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. Sorry.
Okay, colleagues, thanks. We will then invite you to the media briefing after this. Thank you very much.
One, two.
No, this one is new. I'm just saying in general. HDMI is temporarily HDMI gives you the best quality than. But I prefer SDI. I think old school. Old school. Yeah.
HDMI one breaks. And no one else in the industry will give you HDMI.
1, 2, 1, 2.
Though you get quality. But I also have SDI. Unlike HDMI, you have to show that that connection stays on. You can't move it with that. It's a problem. That's it. I saw kitchen straight. Go to move out.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, Minister Olivier, JP Nduhungirehe. I have to make sure I pronounce it correctly. All high commissioners who are here from both countries, senior officials from both the Republic of South Africa and the Republic of Rwanda, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, Minister and brother, allow me once more to welcome you and your delegation to South Africa. We are pleased and privileged to host you in Pretoria and wish you a productive and fruitful working visit. You come all the way from the land of the thousand hills to grace our shores. Thank you. I take this opportunity to convey through you the warm greetings of His Excellency, President Cyril Ramaphosa, and to his brother, His Excellency, President Paul Kagame. Our two heads of states share a profound and deep commitment to reset and re-energize our bilateral relations. Furthermore, they also have a common love for Africa and the great promise this continent holds for its people. Their wish is for a stable, secure, and a prosperous Africa. As we meet today for this important engagement and strategic bilateral meeting, observers of African history and international relations are wondering why our historic relations have not reached the great heights they deserve. However, Minister, despite certain differences, relations between our two countries have always been friendly, cordial, and based on mutual cooperation and respect. South Africa and Rwanda shoulder a responsibility to cooperate more deeply, as there is a lot that binds our peoples together. Both our countries emerged from painful past, from the apartheid era in South Africa and the genocide against the Tutsi people in Rwanda. We will not forget and will forever remember the heroes and the heroines who laid their lives to nurture and build foundation for the two nations that are South Africa and Rwanda today. These bonds are forged from our steadfast belief in solidarity, African unity, and Pan-Africanism. Your presence here today reflects the continued commitment of our two governments to advance the revitalization and strengthening of bilateral relations between the Republic of South Africa and the Republic of Rwanda. The normalization of relations thus assumes great significance. This visit takes place at an important moment in our relationship. It provides an opportunity to consolidate the progress made thus far, addressing outstanding issues through constructive dialogue and openness, and chart a clear path towards a more stable and mutually beneficial partnership. Our two leaders and heads of states have directed that we work closely to strengthen bilateral relations across various sectors, in addition to political, diplomatic, and security cooperation. Foundations already exist for our two countries to enhance collaboration in trade and investment, infrastructure development, people-to-people, and socio-cultural ties, tourism, wildlife conservation, health, education, and the broader scientific sectors. South Africa reiterates its commitment to the normalization process. Our two countries have been laying the foundation for this new path. For instance, former Minister Dr. Naledi Pandor hosted your predecessor here in June 2021. We recall that when President Ramaphosa visited Rwanda in April 2024, during the 30th commemoration of the genocide, both he and President Kagame reaffirmed their determination to restore and strengthen bilateral relations. This was followed by subsequent engagements between our heads of states on the margins of multilateral meetings. Therefore, important steps have been taken to rebuild confidence, trust, and maintain channels of communications. I also applaud you, my dear brother, for also having been open and dynamic contact with myself and always being available to update me on developments in your region and across the globe. As South Africa fine-tunes its immigration laws and visa regulations, we also follow with keen interest the enormous strides Rwanda has made in modernizing its visa regime, which continues to remain attractive for various categories of visas, including your visa-free and visa on arrival dispensation. It is also against this background that this meeting will also take steps towards enabling us to lift the ban with regards to the Rwandan ordinary passports into South Africa. We also express our appreciation to Rwanda for lifting the nearly 80-year ban on agriculture and processed fruit, 8-year ban on agriculture and processed fruit from South Africa, following the listeriosis outbreak in 2017. This is a great stride. It's an important measure for us. It's also building towards the confident steps that are not only essential for bilateral trade, but are equally significant for continental trade. In this regard, the implementation of the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement should remain a priority for South Africa and for Rwanda and all fellow Africans countries, as this will foster resilience, sustainability, and will cushion the continent against unexpected global trade shocks. As both countries seek to deepen cooperation in many areas, we acknowledge that several outstanding matters remain, including in the security area. These issues require continued engagement characterized by regular interaction at political and technical levels. In this context, the revitalization of the Joint Commission for Cooperation is therefore important. It will be recalled that the JCC was last established in 2007 and has not been held for a while. In the meantime, we should thus direct the senior officials to commence work in various committees to come up with work plans wherein an assessment will be made regarding the various legal instruments, memorandum of understandings and agreements that already exist between the two countries. In addition, new areas of cooperation should also be identified. It is important that we redouble our efforts to ensure that levels of trade and investment are increased for the mutual benefits of our countries. Rwanda hosts numerous South African companies, and it is therefore important that the presence of Rwandan companies in South Africa is also increased. We commend Rwanda for the major strides your country has been making in the e-commerce, digital technology, agro-processing, tourism, health, education, and other sectors. Rwanda has been hosting global sporting events, including in cycling and basketball, and major conferences in various sectors. We also congratulate Rwanda for these and other notable achievements. Let us share the experiences and the expertise. South Africa and Rwanda are significant actors within our respective regions and the continent as a whole. The state of peace and security on our continent needs utmost attention. In this regard, our countries should be at the forefront of efforts aimed at strengthening African Union's peace and security architecture. An important element of this is the significance of the operationalization of the Africa Standby Force. Conflicts and wars in various parts of our continents continue to be a threat to fulfillment of Agenda 2063, the Africa we want. By silencing the guns and achieving peace and stability, we will strengthen our prospect for economic development and ultimate prosperity on the continent. My dear brother, I also want to thank you for our collaboration and continued efforts to support the people of South Sudan to exit the revitalized peace agreement as we work together in the Committee of 5 assigned by the African Union. We look forward to continue with these efforts to support South Sudan towards their first democratic elections. Furthermore, our countries are not immune to global developments. The international environment has become fragile and uncertain and unpredictable. It has increasingly challenged global governance, and multilateralism is under threat, compounded by the persistence of conflicts among states. In this context, continued impetus and focus should be on reforming the global system of governance, including the United Nations Security Council. The voice of the developing world, represented by the Global South and the African continent, should find permanent expression in the United Nations Security Council. Beyond this imperative, the developing world, and Africa in particular, should have more say on other critical issues as debt rescheduling and cancellation, financing for development, climate change, health, energy, and food security, amongst others. We should not be marginal players in this regard. South Africa is currently serving a key role as an interim chair of SADC and will soon assume full chairship in August this year. The confidence our region entrusted in us to lead the organization is both an honor and a privilege, and call on South Africa to work with fellow member states to deepen regional integration. During our tenure, we will endeavor to work where pertinent with East Africa community to share lessons and exchange insights. As an eminent member of the East Africa community, Rwanda is well placed to contribute to this endeavor. Regional integration in the respective regional communities through our continent is a critical objective that should be pursued. In global competitive environment, Africa is already a force to be reckoned with, but we need to collaborate more and work towards regional integration. Once again, my dear brother, I welcome you and your delegation to South Africa and look forward to productive deliberations. Thank you very much, and over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ronald Lamola, Minister of Internal Relations and Cooperation of the Republic of South Africa, and dear brother, Excellencies, High Commissioners, distinguished senior officials from both South Africa and Rwanda, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Allow me to begin by expressing my sincere appreciation to the government and people of South Africa for the warm welcome and hospitality extended to me and my delegation since our arrival in the beautiful rainbow nation of South Africa. It is a pleasure to be here today as we continue our engagement to strengthen mutual understanding, rebuild trust, and advance the normalization of relations between our two sister countries. Before proceeding further, I would like to acknowledge the 50th commemoration of Youth Day in South Africa on 16th of June. This important occasion honors the courage and sacrifice of young people who played a key role in the struggle against apartheid. My visit to Soweto this morning, including the Hector Peterson Museum and the historic Vilakazi Street, was a powerful reminder of their bravery and determination in the pursuit of freedom, justice, and equality. This experience also resonates with Rwanda's own history, where many young men and women played a crucial role in putting an end to the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi and liberating the country. Their sacrifice laid the foundation for the peace, unity, and development that Rwanda enjoys today. These shared experiences underscore the vital role that young people continue to play in shaping the future of our continent. And I was telling my brother in our tete-a-tete that I should not be learning about the history of Soweto, the history of South Africa. When I visit the memorial, I should have learned that in school. So yeah, I think we still have work to do on the continent to learn the African history instead of learning history from other regions beyond our continent. Honorable Minister, Rwanda attaches great importance to its relations with South Africa. As two influential African nations, we are united by a shared commitment to peace and security, regional integration, sustainable development, economic transformation, and the realization of the aspirations enshrined in the Agenda 2063. Following the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda, the Republic of South Africa played a significant role in supporting Rwanda's reconstruction and development efforts. As one of Africa's largest economies, if not the largest economy, and the leading regional power, South Africa extended assistance across several key sectors, contributing to Rwanda's recovery and long-term development. In the education sector, South Africa provided opportunities for capacity building through scholarships, training programs, and academic cooperation. In the health sector, South Africa partnered with Cuba to support Rwanda's healthcare system by financing and facilitating the deployment of Cuban doctors who helped address the critical shortage of medical personnel in the aftermath of the genocide against the Tutsi. South Africa also contributed to Rwanda's economic development by encouraging investment and private sector participation. One notable example is the entry of MTN Group into Rwanda, which has become one of the country's leading telecommunications and digital service providers, creating employment opportunities and supporting technological advancement. These contributions reflect the strong bilateral relations between Rwanda and South Africa and demonstrate South Africa's commitment to supporting Rwanda's recovery, stability, and socioeconomic transformation in the post-genocide period. So whatever the challenges that happened between our two countries, we believe that the bond between Rwanda and South Africa is unbreakable. Today's meeting reflects the commitment of our heads of state to open a new chapter in the Rwanda-South Africa relations. It demonstrates our shared belief that dialogue, mutual respect, and constructive engagement are the best way to address differences and strengthen cooperation. Rwanda approaches these discussions in a spirit of openness, goodwill, and partnership. We are encouraged by the progress made through our previous engagements and remain committed to working closely with South Africa to address outstanding issues and identify practical areas of cooperation for the benefits of our peoples. Our sister countries have much to gain from stronger collaboration in trade, investment, tourism, education, innovation, peace and security, and people-to-people exchanges. Stronger bilateral relations will not only benefit our two countries, but will also contribute to regional stability and African unity. I'm confident that today's discussion will build on the positive momentum already established and help lay the foundation for a stronger and mutually beneficial partnership between our two countries. And I'm happy to note that we will move forward regarding the normalization and the resumptions of a visa from Rwanda, pending working on technical issues that will make it happen. And let me conclude by once again thanking the government of South Africa for hosting this important meeting and reaffirming Rwanda's commitment to continued dialogue, cooperation, and friendship. I thank you.
Thank you very much, my dear brother, for your opening remarks. I'm advised that now is the opportunity for the media to leave the room, and then we can continue. I think Crispin will be able to tell you when to come back. Thank you.
behind me are our senior officials, Ambassador Mabongo and from Rwanda. They will then read out the joint communique, which has been agreed to in this meeting, which will then be followed by the minister signing the joint communique. Thereafter, they will then read their closing remarks, and then we will take media questions. Over to you.
Thank you, Christine. So this is a joint declaration. In 2026, Pretoria. Number one, at the invitation of Honorable Ronald Lamola, Minister of International Relations and Cooperation of the Republic of South Africa, Honorable Minister Olivier JP, undertook a working visit to South Africa on 17 June 2026. The ministers acknowledged the continuing efforts of the two heads of state, His Excellency President Cyril Ramaphosa and His Excellency President Paul Kagame, in providing inspiration and leadership in the path towards greater cooperation between South Africa and Rwanda. Number two, in this context, the ministers highlighted the importance of further strengthening bilateral relations between the two countries, recalling the commitment between the two countries to enhance relations given their common and mutual interests. The ministers acknowledged the historical relations that exist between both countries. The ministers further recalled that both countries in the early 1990s emerged from painful experiences from the apartheid era in South Africa and the genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda. These developments had a profound impact on the two countries, and whose sad and tragic memories serve to remind both peoples and the international community about the resilience and unbreakable spirit of South African and Rwandan people in overcoming oppression, hatred, and injustice. The ministers affirmed that in this regard, both countries have a historic responsibility to promote a human, people-centered, and just Africa in the world, and work closely to nurture and strengthen a normative framework anchored on peace, stability, and development for the benefit of current and future generations. Number four, the ministers welcomed the progress achieved through sustained diplomatic engagement and reviewed the implementation of the joint declaration of 4 June 2021 and subsequent understandings reached through the joint mechanism established to facilitate the normalization of relations. The ministers further recalled that the bonds of friendship and cooperation between South Africa and Rwanda culminated in the signing of a joint commission of cooperation in 2007, which serves as a mechanism to build and consolidate bilateral political, economic, socio-cultural, educational, scientific, and other links. In this regard, the ministers urged that the JCC be revived and that the senior officials and technical experts commence with the necessary preparatory work for the session of the resumed JCC to be hosted by Rwanda during the first quarter of 2027. They agreed that both sides should, in addition to strengthening cooperation across existing spheres of collaboration, identify new areas that will provide opportunities for enhanced investment and trade. The ministers encouraged that regular visits and engagements be undertaken by state-owned and private sector entities of both countries. I will now ask the Director General for Africa from the Rwanda Foreign Ministry to read the next paragraphs.
The ministers commended both countries for continuing to work together in areas such as nature and wildlife conservation, tourism, hospitality, health, science and technology, higher education, research and development. They also acknowledged the sharing of experiences and information, participation in exhibitions and events in both countries, such as the Meetings Africa and the Africa's Travel Indaba in South Africa, and the World Travel and Tourism Council Global Summit, Africa CEO Forum, International AIDS Society Conference on HIV Science, and International Trade Fair in Rwanda, among others. The ministers acknowledged that relations between the two countries had suffered interruptions and setbacks in recent years and agreed that the ministerial engagements during the working visit contributed towards the resetting and revitalization of bilateral relations. They reaffirmed that this imperative is illustrative of the desire of the two presidents and the citizens of both countries at large to take relations to a higher level. Working in unison, the ministers emphasized South Africa and Rwanda can enhance not only bilateral cooperation for mutual interest, but can also enhance cooperation and integration in their respective regions and the continent. The ministers discussed and agreed that to further reinvigorate and strengthen bilateral relations, the two countries should redouble efforts aimed at 1. The full restoration and expansion of bilateral cooperation, and reaffirmed their shared commitments to building forward-looking partnership founded on mutual trust in line with the principle of sovereignty and respect for territorial integrity. 2. Facilitating travel, business, trade relations, tourism, investment, academic exchanges, and people-to-people contacts through the resumption of visa issuance to holders of ordinary passports of the Republic of Rwanda traveling to the Republic of South Africa within 12 months. 3. Instituting necessary measures, including the exchange of relevant personnel to enable the effective issuance of permits and documentation. 4. Utilizing the existing diplomatic channels to address matters of mutual concern. 5. Collaborating on joint economic development initiatives, including developments of infrastructure corridors in promotion of bilateral and regional integration interests. And 6. Promoting regional peace and security. In this regard, the ministers concurred that the Joint Commission of Cooperation mechanism, the political consultations, will provide platforms through which the implementation of the aforementioned measures will be monitored and evaluated. The ministers affirmed their commitment to strengthening cooperation in the economic, education, science and technology, and justice sectors, including promoting people-to-people relations, and agreed to explore new areas of mutual interest in support of the broader bilateral partnerships between the two countries. 11. The ministers agreed that the outcomes of their meeting marked the successful conclusion of an important phase in the normalization of relations founded on mutual trust, shared interest, and common commitment to Africa's development and prosperity.
Number 12, the ministers also exchanged views on a variety of regional, continental, and global issues. The ministers reflected on the state of peace and security in the region and the continent and urged for peaceful resolution of disputes through dialogue, negotiation, and mediation. They exchanged views, amongst others, on matters related to the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, Cabo Delgado province in northern Mozambique, Sudan, South Sudan, Somalia, and the developments in the Sahel region. In this regard, the two ministers expressed the importance of strengthening the African Peace and Security Architecture, APSA, and called for accelerated efforts in the operationalization of the African Standby Force. Number 13, the ministers welcomed the work of the African Union High-Level Ad Hoc Committee on the C5 on South Sudan, chaired by President of the Republic of South Africa, His Excellency Cyril Matamela Ramaphosa, in supporting the peace process in South Sudan in the spirit of Pan-Africanism, collective responsibility, and commitment. The ministers expressed deep concern over the deteriorating and increasingly tense political and security situation in South Sudan and urged the parties to the conflict to prioritize dialogue as the most constructive and effective means of resolving outstanding issues, particularly those related to the implementation of the revitalized agreement for resolution of conflict in South Sudan. The ministers agreed to continue working together in the C5, including consideration of additional visits by the committee to South Sudan. 14, the ministers acknowledged and recognized that the international system governing the conduct of relations among nations has become fluid and unpredictable, with a myriad of challenges threatening its existence. They noted that some of the conflicts in the world, including in the Middle East and Europe, have an economic impact on the African continent. The ministers emphasized the significance of restraint, dialogue, cessation of hostilities, and peace. In this context, they pointed to the need to strengthen global institutions of governance, including the United Nations, so that this body reflects the diversity of its membership and the voice of all its members is amplified. The last paragraph, number 15, the ministers agreed to maintain regular consultations and to convene the next session of the JCC during the first quarter of 2027. They furthermore indicated that the two heads of state will continue utilizing the good communication platform that exists between them and will hold a bilateral meeting at a date to be communicated through the diplomatic channel, to be signed in Pretoria on 17th June 2026. This is the end of the declaration.
Thank you very much to the senior officials. I'll now invite Ms. Khumalo to then officiate over the signing ceremony. Giving you encouragement. May I please invite the ministers to do the concluding and closing remarks, starting with you, Your Excellency.
Honorable Ronald Lamola, Minister of International Relations and Cooperation of the Republic of South Africa, Excellency High Commissioners, distinguished senior officials from the two countries, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. As we conclude our discussions, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to Honorable Minister Ronald Lamola and the staff of your ministry for the constructive engagement and spirit of openness that have characterized our exchanges today. Rwanda welcomes the outcomes of the meeting, which mark another positive steps in the ongoing process of normalizing relations between our two countries. The progress achieved today reflects our shared commitment to dialogue, mutual respect, and cooperation as the foundation for a stronger bilateral relationship. In particular, Rwanda warmly welcomes the commitment to facilitate the issuance of visa to holders of ordinary Rwandan passports within 12 months, and this important development will help strengthen people-to-people ties, promote business and tourism exchanges, and further deepen the friendship between our peoples. Our discussions today have reaffirmed a common determination to open a new chapter in Rwanda-South African relations and to work together in advancing our shared priorities, both bilaterally and within the frameworks of the African Union and other regional and international fora. While certain matters may require further consultations, we are encouraged by the substantive progress made and will remain committed to sustaining the positive momentum generated by this engagement. Rwanda stands ready to work closely with South Africa to implement the understandings reached and to broaden cooperation across areas of mutual interest and benefit. We look forward to resuming discussions on the proposed meeting between our heads of state, which was initially scheduled in December last year and has subsequently postponed to create space for this important engagement. We remain confident that the planned meeting of the Joint Commission for Cooperation will further enhance our relations and enable us exploring other areas of cooperation. This platform will indeed reinvigorate bilateral cooperation and advance engagement across many sectors of mutual interest. And let me conclude by once again thanking the government of South Africa for its warm hospitality and excellent arrangements during our visit. I will leave Pretoria tomorrow encouraged by the spirit of friendship and partnership that has guided our discussions and confident in the future of the relations between our two countries. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, my dear brother, Olivier Nduhungirehe, High Commissioners, senior officials, ladies and gentlemen, and our friends from the media. I wish to take this opportunity to thank you and your delegation for the insightful, professional, and impeccable discussions we've just had. Our discussions were focused and very fruitful, reflecting the desire of our two principals, the heads of states and respective governments, to reset and take our bilateral relations forward. As we conclude our discussions, allow me to also confirm the spirit of openness, mutual respect, and constructive engagement that has characterized these deliberations today. This is highly appreciated. We also commend the very good work carried out by both the political and the diplomatic experts and the security experts as well. The exchanges have reaffirmed that despite some of the challenges of the recent past, South Africa and Rwanda share a common desire to build a relationship anchored on trust, cooperation, and shared values of Ubuntu. In our deliberations, we have taken stock of the progress achieved thus far, candidly addressed areas where further work remains necessary, and reaffirmed our commitment to continue engaging through established mechanisms that support the normalization process and reset of bilateral relations. There is much more that unites us than divides us. Working in unison on issues of common mutual interest, South Africa and Rwanda relations can be deepened and become a model of bilateral cooperation. Importantly, today's discussions have built upon the political will that is being displayed consistently by President Ramaphosa and his counterpart, President Kagame, in driving the relationship between the two countries forward. They've displayed this in various multilateral fora. The diligence, attention to detail, and the maturity displayed by the experts today bodes well for the accelerated cooperation across various sectors. We welcome the progress made in identifying practical areas of cooperation and strengthening channels of communications between our respective institutions in a seamless and predictable manner. The continued involvement of relevant departments and agencies will remain essential to ensuring that our commitments translate into meaningful outcomes. We've critically further emphasized the centrality of regular consultation, dialogue, and diplomacy in addressing matters of mutual interest and concern. We have also agreed that a joint commission of cooperation be revitalized and that senior officials should commence with the preparation forthwith. The facilitation for South Africa to lift visa restrictions for qualifying holders of ordinary Rwandan passports represents a significant confidence-building measure and a tangible expression of our commitment to restoring normal bilateral relations with Rwanda. We trust that this step will facilitate increased exchanges between our peoples, stimulate trade and investment, collaborate in infrastructure projects, promote tourism, science and technology, and deepen the bonds of cooperation in many diverse areas. South Africa and Rwanda reiterate the importance of consolidating friendship between our countries and nations and to the betterment of our respective people. We conclude this meeting with a renewed sense of purpose, galvanized by the desire to further fortify bilateral cooperation. As an illustration of this collaboration, His Excellency President Cyril Ramaphosa looks forward to holding a high-level bilateral meeting with His Excellency President Paul Kagame at a date to be mutually agreed upon through diplomatic channels. Such an engagement will be another powerful affirmation that South Africa and Rwanda have reaffirmed the strong bonds of friendship, solidarity, and cooperation that underpin bilateral relations between the two countries. Minister Nduhungirehe, thank you very much once again for undertaking this working visit and for the constructive way we have engaged throughout our discussions. We look forward to continuing our deliberations soon. I hope to have an opportunity to visit Kigali, your great capital, and to be amongst your warm and hospitable people. Once you are here, I heard you are in Soweto. You can also visit some of the areas around here and feel the warmth of our people. I know it's winter, but our people are very warm. Thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ministers. I trust that the questions from colleagues in the room who are journalists will also be warm. Karin du Plessis. Minister says warm but not hot.
Okay. You trust us with a lot. No, it's Karin du Plessis from the Africa Report. I have a question, perhaps for both ministers. Just over a year ago, relations were at a bit of a low, I think you could agree, but quite publicly low. What were the steps that led to this meeting? Can you maybe just give us a bit more details about how, you know, lesson 101, how you picked up these relations from there? How did it improve to such a point that we're now having a meeting, a potential meeting between the presidents? Thank you.
Is that the only question in the room? There's Sophie behind the line. Sorry, I can't see. Oh, you can go wait.
So to Minister Lamola and also Minister Nduhungirehe, my name is Michael Mpewe from the SABC's Channel Africa. So as my colleague there said, that relations between South Africa and Rwanda has experienced significant challenges over the past decades, yet today's meeting reflects a shared commitment to rebuilding trust and strengthening bilateral cooperation. So to both ministers, given the ongoing conflict and humanitarian crises in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, what practical steps can South Africa and Rwanda take, both bilaterally and through regional mechanisms, to advance peace, security, stability, and sustainable political solution in the region? To Minister Nduhungirehe, does your visit to South Africa, I know you have touched on the Bi-Commission, but largely, does it signal a new chapter in relations between Kigali and Pretoria? Especially, can you expect a state or official visit to by President Paul Kagame to meet President Ramaphosa in the near future as part of efforts to further normalize and deepen relations between the two countries? But also wanted clarity on the visa issue, but also the passport issue. To Minister Lamola, how do you welcome the ceasefire between the USA and Iran in the Middle East. Thank you so much. Maybe there might be follow-up questions as we are engaging. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Sophie Mkwena from the SABC. My question is directed to both ministers looking at the current global challenges, particularly as it relates to peace and security in the Middle East and the supply chain. The continent is going to be affected. What can be the role of Rwanda and South Africa in terms of working together to ensure that the African continent speaks in one voice in terms of these global challenges? Because sometimes there's a perception that South Africa is on its own trying to ensure that it does fight and protect multilateralism. There seems to be a reluctance from African countries to support South Africa. For an example, the genocide case, South Africa is bearing the brunt. Thank you.
Thank you for that round of questions. May I invite the ministers to then respond as they deem fit. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Crispin. Karim asked us what steps were taken to reach where we are. You will remember that during the difficult period of the Eastern DRC, in particular Goma, when our two East Africa communities met in Tanzania to a ceasefire, to find peace, some of the issues that were agreed upon for operationalization needed all the countries involved, Rwanda, South Africa, and the DRC itself, including to facilitate the exit of the troops from Goma. So all countries cooperated in that regard, and Rwanda also cooperated with that framework. But we have also been cooperating with Rwanda in the process of the revitalized peace agreement in South Sudan, where we are mandated by the African Union to support the peace efforts, including to take South Sudan to their first democratic elections. Myself and Minister Nduhungirehe, we were in Juba together. And we have since been working together on the South Sudan issue, and that has also presented an opportunity for us to further engage, to deepen bilateral relations between our two countries. But except that our two principals have also been engaging at the high level. As we have said earlier, President Ramaphosa in 2024 went to Rwanda on the genocide, on the commemoration of the genocide, had engagements bilaterally with President Kagame, and they agreed to reset bilateral relations. My predecessor, Minister Pando, in 2021 hosted her counterpart. They agreed to reset the bilateral relations. President Ramaphosa, in a number of international fora, the ones I can remember, it was the AU Gateway in Belgium. They also had bilateral engagements, again, on the margins of the African Union, and they all agreed that there is a need to engage and to reset bilateral relations between South Africa and Rwanda. But also they are both concerned about the situation in the Eastern DRC. One of the issues they wanted to engage on is the Eastern DRC. So as a result, President Kagame was supposed to visit South Africa earlier this year, but unfortunately, due to circumstances beyond his control, he could no longer be able to come. They have subsequently tried on several occasions to have that visit. And it, unfortunately, due to other circumstances, not the reasons of the strained relations that were in the past, that visit could not materialize. But this working visit is also, while we are working on some confidence-building measures, is also in preparation of that engagement. And that engagement will further deepen engagements in relation to issues related to the Eastern DRC. On the visa issue, how do we envisage it being implemented? We want to implement it within the next 12 months. As you are aware, it's Home Affairs that implement the system and the process, and we are in engagement with them. They are reading themselves, including with their new system of electronic visa application processes. They will be able to action this within the next 12 months for people-to-people visits to start happening. But also, as you have heard, that Rwanda has also lifted the ban on the importation of agricultural products from South Africa. So it becomes necessary that the two people are able to visit each other, including for issues of trade, commercial engagements, and so forth, including Rwandans coming here to get the products that they will be getting from our sectors here in South Africa. So this will help with the facilitation of that. We welcome the ceasefire agreement between the US and Iran. We hope that the ceasefire will become durable. It will come with a permanent peace. It will help to resolve the conflict, and that the long-term issues that are still outstanding too will be resolved, because it is in the interest of the global community that this ceasefire is durable, because the Strait of Hormuz is very important for global trade, for energy security, for fertilizer, for agricultural inputs, and so forth. So it is a very important outcome, but also it's important for the UN Charter in terms of the respect of territorial integrity of nations. Thank you very much. I think those are the ones that were related to me. I hand over to you, dear friend.
Thank you very much. My answers will not be that different about the steps of normalization between Rwanda and South Africa. But we need to understand where we come from. You know, we are two different countries, obviously, two different economies in terms of size. But even our histories, we have few dates that coincide. You know, 1990, here there was a liberation of Nelson Mandela. In Rwanda, we had started the struggle for the liberation of the country. In 1994, we had the genocide against the Tutsi, which was stopped in July of the same year. And the same year, you had also the election of Nelson Mandela as president, which turned the page of apartheid in this country. And after the genocide in Rwanda, we had an important support of South Africa for the reconstruction of Rwanda. In my opening statement, I was mentioning the health workers from Cuba who came to Rwanda with the support of South Africa. In Rwanda, you can, in administrations and private sector, when you walk there, you will bump in someone who had studied in South Africa. So there were many scholarships that were provided for Rwandan citizens to help us rebuilding our public and private sector. Because we had genocide, 1 million people killed. There were also millions who had fled in neighboring countries. But South Africa was with us, also with investments in our country, private sector, big companies that came. I mentioned MTN. So this is why I say that this bond, despite all the challenges, is unbreakable. So we believe that we should move forward. The heads of state met 2 years ago in Kigali during the 30th commemoration of the genocide against the Tutsi. They also met and spoke since then. And this visit is also important to proceed with the normalization process. And we have agreed that next year there will be a joint commission on cooperation between the two countries in Kigali in the first quarter. So I believe that we'll be able to discuss about various areas of cooperation, and also to assess this issue of movement of people, people-to-people exchange, in particular the resumption of the visa for holders of ordinary passports. So we believe that we still have a long way to go, but we are on the right path, and we, as a country, an African country, we need to continue collaborating with South Africa, which is the largest economy in Africa, which is an important country, member of the G20, is the only African country member of the G20. So we need to continue working together to promote trade and investment, because Rwanda, although we are a small country, we have always believed that African countries should move towards self-reliance. We have been independent for many of us for more than 60 years, but we are still under development aid. And for us, it's not sustainable. We have the ability to collaborate, to trade among ourselves, especially taking advantage of the African Continental Free Trade Area that enables us to trade duty-free and quota-free. I was telling my brother Lamola that we should, in our hotel and restaurant, have South African wine rather than wine coming out of the continent. So those are all the issues to promote trade and investment between our countries. And there was a question also about practical steps regarding the crisis in Eastern DRC. This is a crisis that has been going on for many years, for actually 3 decades. And we believe that it's the duty of the African continent to continue trying to find a solution. South Africa will serve as the chair of oversight committee for the Peace, Security, Cooperation Framework for the DRC and the region. And then they will play an important role for this to find a solution to this conflict. We know that we have Washington agreements and also Doha agreement, but the African Union and the regional economic communities have an important role to play, because they have the institutional memory of this crisis. They know the root causes of this crisis. While we have external actors mediating, we believe that the African Union should really step up and really try to help the parties overcoming this situation, especially as we have tremendous economic opportunities. In last year in December, we have signed the Regional Economic Integration Framework, which will allow DRC and Rwanda to collaborate, to make joint investment in the value chain of critical minerals, in energy, in the energy sector, like the methane gas that we have in common, co-managing national parks, and we will also learn from South Africa how those parks are managed, those parks with Botswana and Zimbabwe transfrontier, yes, parks. And we believe that it is important for African Union, the regional economic integrations, and other mechanisms that were created to move towards sustainable peace. But as I say to my brother Ronald, is that we have good and comprehensive peace agreements. Washington Accords and the Doha Framework Agreement. Those are good agreements because they are comprehensive enough, addressing security issues, political issues, and economic issues. What is remaining now is the political will and the good faith to implement what we have agreed on, and we are still concerned by the lack of implementation of the ceasefire, including the use and abuse of the drone attacks in the region, and also the increasing hate speech against the Congolese citizens of Rwandan culture and language. But we'll continue as a country working together with the mediator to ensure that we find a lasting solution. As for the state visit, we will work on the dates to make that visit happen. But we believe that it will be soon, because it's important that we continue on this momentum of normalization. There was also a question about the global challenges and why Africa and African countries are letting down South Africa. This should not be, because South Africa is a big economy and is a member of the G20, representing African countries on the global stage. We are suffering from conflicts that we didn't initiate, that are coming from outside the continent. We have institutions that we have put in place. We have the African Union, we have the Peace and Security Council. While we should continue silencing the guns on our continent through the peace and security architecture that we put in place, we should also discuss those issues that are affecting the continent but coming from outside the continent. It is important that where we are represented either by one of us, like South Africa or other countries, or by the Commission, that we try to speak with one voice for the interest of the continent. I know that in the past it has been difficult because, 54, 55 countries, sometimes we don't have the same language because they are external influence. But we believe that now it's time to look at our continent, at the opportunities we have, and then to support each other in order to really protect our economic interests that are affected by the conflict that we didn't initiate. Thank you.
Thank you, Ministers, for those very comprehensive answers. I will now hand over to our WhatsApp line. We have a couple of questions from journalists who are following the gathering virtually as well.
First question to Minister Nduhungirehe. Is Rwanda asking South Africa to extradite or expel dissidents? Second one, Minister Lamola, have you resolved the differences over the Rwandan dissidents in South Africa? Rwanda in the past has tried to eliminate them in the view of South Africa some officials. Thank you.
Then can I take follow-up questions in the room, and then that will be the last? So that
just one from me. As you know, Minister from Rwanda, I'm sorry, the name is a bit far for me to get through, but you come at a time where South Africa is facing a major challenge of illegal migration, and the people are rising up. The government is trying to engage with all the parties, but also in terms of international relations. But we just wanted to get your sentiments, because I think this issue has portrayed South Africa as, in the continent. We are seeing in the social media, posts and so on, where South Africa is being fingered to be isolated and so on. We also have seen headlines where some tourists have, within the continent, have cancelled, their visits to South Africa. But we just wanted to get your sentiments on some countries that are repatriating their illegal migration. I mean, we're not talking about legal migration. What is your comment on this situation in South Africa?
A follow-up on the migration. There is a proposal by Ghana that this matter be discussed at the AU meeting in Egypt. And it looks like the focus is to isolate South Africa. while migration is a challenge, not only on the continent, but around the world, what is Rwanda's view on attempts to put South Africa on a spotlight and sort of isolate South Africa? And lastly, the repatriation, is it a solution? Because all countries have these kinds of challenges. It's not unique to South Africa.
Karen?
Thanks, Crispin. My question's not a follow-up, it's a new topic. It's the Ebola outbreak in the Eastern DRC. It's pretty close to Rwanda physically, and South Africa has also donated or given some money to, or the president has pledged some money to help fight the outbreak. I'm just wondering, was this under any discussion here between the ministers? And how big is the concern about the outbreak and about the ability to contain it? Thank you.
Over to you, ministers. Hot seat.
Thank you very much. So many questions. The first question about the dissidents. They are indeed dissidents, what you call dissidents in this country, but actually they were sentenced by Rwandan jurisdictions in absentia. But we didn't discuss this matter today because we wanted to focus on normalization, and we had previously also security organs that discussed about all security issues that may arise between Rwanda and South Africa, and to build that trust that can make the two countries, the institutions of the two countries, discussing and addressing all security concerns between Rwanda and South Africa. So we believe that as the normalization goes on, all institutions concerned, be the foreign ministries or security organs, even just the justice sector, will be able to address all pending issues. But between ourselves, we didn't discuss this in the meeting we had. There was also a question about illegal migration. Rwanda, you know that we are as a country, we are a country of migration because Rwandans have migrated in different countries as refugees because of our history. And you remember that we have also worked with the African Union and the UNHCR in taking the African migrants that were stranded in Libya starting 2019. You remember that some of them were even sold as slaves. You saw that in the media. So this is an issue that was very sensitive to us. We took 3,000 of them to Rwanda in an emergency transit mechanism, and most of them, more than 80% of them, were relocated to Europe and North America. So we are very sensitive to this issue, and we believe that the debate we should be having, it's a debate about, a general debate about migration. We don't believe that we should finger pointing any country. It's important that we talk about the migration issue, the root causes of migration. We should talk about that, and then how to address the migration, which, in our view, should be safe, should be legal, should be orderly. This is what we need to do. And then we're also discussing about one of the flagship project of the African Union, which is a free movement of people on the continent. All those issues are thematic issues for the continent, for the integration of the continent. And we believe that for us, ministers or officials of AU member states, we should not react with passion or based on what we see on social media. We should address real issues and provide a solution. This is what we should be doing. So for Rwanda, we believe that it's important to have a debate, but not really having a passionate debate based on pointing finger on a single country. And we have seen proposals of a debate within the African Union. I think the Executive Council was postponed. The one that was scheduled to take place in Egypt in a few days was postponed. And we will see, because I think it was postponed to October. We will see if such a proposal comes again on the table. But for us, a debate should be thematic and not centered on one country. Because those are, of course, important issues, but there are also sovereign matters that we should not be discussing in a passionate way. There was, yes, on Ebola, there was an Ebola outbreak, as you said, in Eastern DRC. The epicenter is in the region, province of Ituri, which does not border Rwanda. It's in Eastern DRC, but up north. It's bordering Uganda. So we have a number of cases in DRC, and also few of them in Uganda. But Uganda, for more than 1 or 2 weeks, they don't have any new case. Also, the two provinces of DRC bordering Rwanda are Ebola-free, meaning North Kivu and South Kivu. And on our side, we don't have any case. We didn't have any. And we have put in place screening measures. We have increased our preparedness. And even the measures that we took were internationally recognized. So we hope that we will all work together, the WHO, the Africa CDC, to find, first of all, to end this outbreak as soon as possible, and also to think about the future, on how we can prevent this Ebola crisis to occur again, because we have, you will remember, in 2014, we had also an Ebola outbreak in West Africa, Sierra Leone, Guinea, and Liberia. So we should not have these crises continuing endlessly. So I believe that all the whole scientific community should try to find a permanent solution for these Ebola outbreaks. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think on the migration questions, I fully agree with my dear brother here in his response. We have been very clear that any debate that can take place in relation to this matter at the African Union should focus on the broader discussion on the migration issue. Almost 45% of the African continent, particularly the youth, goes outside their own countries of origin. So we have to discuss that, because it's clear it's not just one country, it's an African challenge that is driven by root causes, and those root causes have to be discussed, the pull and push factors, the countries of origin, the country of face safety, and so forth, but also the role that the AFCTA, as an important flagship project, a program of the AU for regional trade and facilitation, what role can it play for economic growth, for our own countries, all of us in the continent, to be able to grow our economies? How do we work together to also create jobs? Because if then we're able to respond to the economic growth, the job opportunities, trade, regional integration, exchange on science, and so forth, therefore there may be no need for people to be traveling outside their own countries, not only to come to South Africa, to anywhere in the world, but with regards to us, we have to then respond to that. And I think we have spoken in detail about that. So I fully agree with my dear brother with regards to that. If there is such a debate, it must be on the migration issue, and we need to deal with the root causes. The issue of the descendants, indeed, we didn't discuss, because as you will have seen, we're dealing more with the process of normalization. So within that process of normalization, there will be a security aspect and team that will then deal with those specific issues and how to address them. But at a principal level, as South Africa, we deal with anyone in the country in line with our constitution. And there should be no any other way to deal with anyone who is within the borders of South Africa. So that is an important principle on our side, because it's a constitutional process that we always respect, and it will be within that framework of that discussion that it will also have to be raised. The issue of the Ebola, indeed, it remains a challenge. President Ramaphosa is the champion for the Africa pandemic preparedness. You will have seen him yesterday chairing the meeting on the Africa CDC, on the summit, and as South Africa, we have committed to donate money. I think it's about $5 million US into the Africa CDC to support the work that the Africa CDC is doing, also with the WHO, but not only with the money. We also have the expertise from our Center for Communicable Disease, which has got which is one of the universally acclaimed centers that has the capability and the skills that may be needed. So we think this is an important platform. When we say there must be African solutions to African problems, we must put our money where our mouth is. And that's why we have put the 5 million. And we challenge all our other sister countries to do the same, that we support the Africa CDC. We support it to respond, to mitigate to this Ebola situation as we work with the WHO, and we must be able to show that we can resolve these problems. We have the expertise, we have the resources, and we must be able to respond and support the efforts in the DRC. So that is the spirit within which we are participating and supporting the process. I hope, Crispin, we have now earned our salary. Can we go home now?
Thank you very much. That concludes our press conference. Thank you very much, Your Excellencies.
That is too much. It's too much. There's no